All right, there's a pallet ready to go to board sort. Another pallet here going to mint. I don't know which truck is going to show up first. It's two different shipping companies picking up today. But if Murphy's Law is correct, the board sort box will be first. So I have to move this one out of the way. But we'll see. And I really need the room because, boy, howdy, we are jammed packed in here. Yes, sirree, but it's a good problem to have. Trust me. Just makes for an awful busy weeks. It's been a while since we've done just a good old-fashioned kind of PC here. This is an older PC. So let's see what we can get going here. First, we're going to get these slot cards out of the way. That is a really nice Goldfinger card, slot card. We'll get this heatsink off. And I want to see, you don't have to do this, but I like to see what's underneath of these shields when I can. That says Phillips. Yeah, so it's just a nice, a bunch of little coils and things, and an oscillator and an IC. So you would have had your coax going in here, and VGA. Yeah, just a really nice Goldfinger slot card here. If you want to get your maximum value, I did a video on this. I'll link to it at the end here if I remember. But I figured out that if I leave the brackets on, but I clean off all the heat sinks and motors and such from the board itself, that's the optimal way to sell it for the max return, given the way Board Sort is pricing these right now. This is looks like an old Sound Blaster card. Those are always really pretty cards. Go there. Get in there. So that's just a gold connector end. If you want to take it out, it's pretty easy. And frequently these are brass, so that's going in the gold connector ends. And let's see if you are brass. You kind of hang on to the magnet. So I'm thinking you're brass. Let's take a file to it. Yeah, it's brass. It's just got a coating that's somewhat ferrous. So into the brass bucket we go. All right, these connectors in the older computers like this one, there should be some reasonably decent gold plated material in there. So we take our tin snips. That can go in the gold connector ends. And let's see here. Let's if they want to cooperate here, we'll give you a chance to see what I'm talking about. Sometimes the pins pull right out, but they did not on that one. And I found that these toenail or fingernail clippers, the smaller ones, they work pretty good for this. So you just go in here and you grab hold of the edge of one of those pins and pull it out, and you can see that it's got just a little bit of gold plating on there. Some of them have a whole lot more gold plating on there. When I first started doing this, I would sit there for hours plucking those pins off. And then I figured out that I'm never going to get around to going after that gold. So why am I doing that? So I don't do that anymore. If you are a hobbyist and you do gold recovery, it might be worth your time I don't know what the real return is. And certainly the older the pins, the better the gold return is going to be. This doesn't take me much time really, and given my conditions in my current situation here, the way my yard pays me for wire and such, it makes more sense for me to cut the gold connector ends off and prepare those for shipment to board sort. Because I am close enough to board sort that the shipping, the combination of the distance being reduced and that I'm now shipping in pallet size loads, it makes things much more economical now. Stuff that I could not make money on before shipping to board sort, I now can make reasonable margin shipping to board sort. Okay, these gold connector ends go in here. Now, wire. None of those are gold connector ends, so they can just stay on this wire because the number 3 wire, my yard doesn't care if the ends are still on it. Now that is a gold connector end. You can see the gold there. And that one's gold. It's just gold plated, but that's what a gold connector end is. And we'll get the rest of this wire out of here. These are power cables to the CD-ROMs. And we'll get this power cable off of the board. And we'll unscrew the power supply. This power supply has internal screws as well. They really wanted this one to stay in place. All right, next up is the RAM. We have 3 sticks. That was the maximum number of slots, and they're all gold. Oh, I missed a slot card. Now then, let's see. This is blocking the board a little bit. Let's see if that'll come out easy enough. There we go. All right, the board should come out now without much trouble. There's our motherboard. We're going to take a more detailed look at that here in a little bit. In these older PCs, they frequently have brass risers, riser screws, thumb screws. You get in here and get these out. They usually turn out pretty easily. Sometimes you'll need a tool either because they're tight or because of the depth makes it hard to get your hands and fingers in there. All depends on the type of case. But these are real easy to get my hand in here, and they're turning without any difficulty. So there's a nice little bit of brass. CD-ROMs and hard drive, and this is the floppy drive. I just leave the floppy drives in because there really isn't much of value there. Not worth taking them out. That sucks.
Okay, can you come in? Call me about 11 o'clock. I don't know if I can come in today. But I don't see that.
I got stickers on the box there and here.
Yeah, I'm talking about the tracking number of it.
Yeah. You got your own pallet jack, or do you want to use mine?
I want to use yours to get it on there, and then I'll use mine to get it off there with.
What I really need is a forklift. I just haven't gotten it yet.
Hopefully I can push that up just a little.
Oh man, they put screws on both sides. That's annoying. So there's the hard drive, and we'll get this little bracket off there. This particular hard drive, because it's older, it has the IDE pins, so that's called the high grade hard drive board. And it is, it's worth taking it off the board because it pays enough that it's worth removing it. You just got to find the right size Torx. There we go. We'll just do that by hand. There's not that many screws. All right. So high grade hard drive board or non-SATA IDE pin. And then you would sell that as a hard drive with no board. All right. Darn it, darn it, darn it. They put screws on both sides of the hard drive. That's annoying. So that means we have to take off the other side of this. I see. Okay. Fortunately, that wasn't too difficult. Sometimes that can be really annoying. So not only did they put screws on both sides, but they put 4 screws on both sides. They really did not want these bad boys going anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and put the sheet back on here again. There we go. Come on. There we go. Because it makes a nice tray to throw metal bits in. And we'll be chucking a lot of metal bits in there here real soon. All right, these older CDs can be really good from the perspective of the size of the board. You can see what I mean by how big those boards are. You compare that to some of the CD boards that you see now, they're teeny tiny little things, and it's just amazing differences in these boards. So that's a nice CD-ROM board to sell to boardsort.com. And there's gold edging on this piece of flat wire, so I'm going to set that aside for when I eventually do some gold recovery work. Now, if you are so inclined, and much of this depends on what your local yard does for buying scrap. Get that wire out of there. You're going to have 1, 2, 3 motors here, and every CD is going to have at least 3 motors. My yard does not buy these small motors as motors, they buy it as shreds. So for me, it doesn't make any sense to spend the time trying to get those. But your yard may buy them as small motors. So you should, know what your yard is doing, how they're buying them, and if they are buying them as motors, you might want to take the time to get them out of there. Thought I got you out. Come on. What is your major malfunction? Weird. I don't know why that one was so difficult to open up. All right, I'm going to chuck that in with the low grades, and this one will go in with the CD-ROM boards. I could probably throw that piece in there, but anyway, you can see these older boards are really nice. Lots of ICs and stuff, so definitely good value there. And that's got gold on it. I'm curious, there's a disc in here. I want to see what the disc is. It's probably, an operating disc for something. For some software or something. Oh, no, it's a game, it looks like. T-Zar, The Burden of the Crown. Talonsoft. Huh. Interesting. I wonder if it still works. I might take that home and see if it still works. And if any of you are gamers and you know that game and you want it, let me know. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this board here. Let me get it arranged. You know, it's funny, I had 2 pallets going out today, and the guy that got here first one, that pallet was over here. This pallet I had to then move out of the way.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. I even said to myself, I know how this one's going to happen today. Down the damn parking lot. All right, now I got room for the next load. So we've got some, you can tell this is an older board because of the number of slots and the way we've got these heat sinks on here. Let's go ahead and get the heat sinks off. Little fan. There'll be some sort of chip here. So we have a nice gold cornered chip, 2 of these gold cornered BGAs, aluminum heat sink. Just stick your screwdriver in, and you can, sometimes if you just press on this edge here, it'll come off, but sometimes they're old enough that you need to get your screwdriver in there and pop it off. Oh, we have a nice ceramic AMD chip. Pull that up. So there's a nice ceramic AMD. Very nice. And that's going to be, once we get the battery out of here, that is going to be a large socket motherboard. A US quarter will fit down inside of that. I'll just park you there for a minute. And we'll get the motor off of this heatsink. All right, aluminum heatsink. And again, at my yard, I have to, these are just being bought as shred, so your yard may actually have a category for fan motors, or they may buy them as small copper bearing motors. Alrighty, now, this is another thing that gets interesting. Let me get this out of the way for a minute. A while back, it's another video that I need to link to, but a while back I did a video on how to maximize your profit on power supply units. And I went through with, I had, I don't know, 10 of them or so, and I weighed them all up with, and what I could get paid for them with the wire on, with the wire off, at various stages of taking them apart. And that made sense for the location that I was in and the buyers that I had. Well, I'm in a new place, and I don't have many options here, so I have no choice now but to take my power supplies apart until I can find an economical way to sell them as power supply units. What I have to do now is break them down into the sheet metal, the wire, and the load of mid-grade board. So it's not a terribly difficult thing to do. A little bit time consuming. Some can be a little more fiddly than others. But it's not terribly difficult, it's just a little bit time consuming. And if you really get going, you know, when you're when you're on a roll and you're not trying to record a video and talk and everything else that's going on, you can knock through these pretty quick. So there we have insulated wire. There's the shred. And with this one, we can get out these pretty easily. Get most of that wire off of there by digging down in a little bit. That's just going to be another low-grade board. And we can, now you can get in here and just, you know, cut the wires free. So usually what I'll do is I'll get these, the ones that are kind of off to the side, like this. And I'll end up with this big wad of wires here. And just to save my hand, because, you know, I could be working on a lot of PCs. So this lets me get in here and now I can throw that in with the ends on. I can throw it in my number 3. I can cut the ends off and throw it in with my number 2. I'm not going to do a time analysis on this because at this point I just don't have much choice. I either sell those, the whole thing is shred, or I spend some time breaking it down. And I suppose I could still do the time analysis, but there isn't a whole lot of money in the shred value right now. So we break it down, and I have a buyer for low grade boards that's offering me a pretty good price for low grades. So getting the low grade boards out makes a lot of sense right now. And then we just get this little metal bits out of the way. Flatten you guys down. And because these because these old PCs are so cavernous, I'm gonna put you there like that. I'm gonna put you up here like that. And then we're gonna take this bucket of little stuff and we're gonna put all that little stuff in there. And I still have room for some more stuff to go in here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. All right, so nice little, you know, it's a nice thing to throw all the little metal bits in as I'm scrapping out other stuff. All right, I'm going to take this over to the bin for the, you know what, come here, let me show you. Let me show you. In order to keep things organized in the process of the scrap, I have these bins where I store the material, the different types of boards. So down there is my large socket motherboards. And then when they get full enough, I know it's time to put together a box, in this case for board sort. So it's a way to stay organized. I have a lot of small metal sockets, don't I? It's just a way to stay organized in between loads. All right, I'm going to get back to doing some more PCs. You all have a great day, and these videos are going to take you to more shark scrapping content. The big round one in the middle, that's to help you to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a great day, y'all.